Já pensou em morar num país barato, seguro e atrativo para nômades digitais no leste europeu? Hoje vamos entrar em detalhes sobre como é a vida na Sérvia, com ninguém mais, ninguém menos que Aleksa Burmazovic, parceiro e amigo nosso que ajuda com os processos de residência, cidadania e negócios na Sérvia, ele mesmo originalmente de Belgrado. Essa gravação vai ser em inglês, porém deixaremos as legendas aqui embaixo para que você possa acompanhar. Aleksa, how are you doing, my friend? Where are we speaking from?
We are in Ponta Delgada in the Azores, and we're having an absolutely lovely and sunny day. So when speaking about Serbia, there's a couple of things that one needs to be aware of. Number one being how long does one intend to stay there? As a 3-month to 6-month stay, Serbia is a fantastic choice for digital nomads who are on the move, since Belgrade has great air connections and is in a pretty acceptable time zone when doing business with practically anybody in the world. But if you're looking to stay there for longer, then that's a different story you can try to do.
Let's walk to our Airbnb while we continue the discussion. So, in terms of visiting, let's focus on the digital nomad first, because we have an audience that, maybe doesn't even know where to place Serbia on a map yet. It's not that big of a country. So, what would you say are the main attractives of Serbia, right? What does Belgrade offer for a digital nomad, someone that is working remotely?
So I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think Serbia and Belgrade for international digital nomads has become more or less the same thing, particularly because all of the infrastructure that we have for foreigners visiting the country is mostly in Belgrade. So all the best events, cafes, hotels, all of that you can find in Belgrade, the city. Obviously the countryside is absolutely gorgeous, and if you've got time, if you're staying longer in Serbia, there's plenty to be seen. But so far I would say that Serbia is a country of about 7 million people. It's halfway between Greece and Hungary, if you can think of that region of the world. And as far as the main capital city, Belgrade, it's 2 million people, and recently, because of the war in Ukraine, we've had just about 100,000 Russians and Ukrainians coming into the city, so there's a massive evolution of the city to be more friendly to foreigners. So you will see English spoken everywhere, and particularly Russian and Ukrainian will be spoken as well. As far as a longer stay in Serbia goes, usually what people will do is they will rent a place in Belgrade, and for that there's several websites that we can link to that we suggest for finding those properties. And the best thing is, usually...
Can you name a few?
Sure. So there's Četiri zida and Alo Oglasi. And the main thing about them is, with all of these arrangements, you're usually paying cash. It's fully untraceable, untaxable, and that is going to be something that you see a lot of in Serbia. It's very much a cash-based economy. The way that businesses operate is very, it's not the kind of place where everything is highly regulated and you have to constantly be looking over your back. It's somewhat freer compared to the European Union. Speaking of, Serbia is not in the European Union.
And that already makes it, I would say, a very attractive digital nomad destination for visa runs, right? For basically cooling down your Schengen time. So if you go to Schengen, spend 3 months, and you need a place to spend 3 months before you can go back to Schengen, Serbia is close. You're gonna have the same European air, you have the cafes, you have amazing parks, you have just a very vibrant life in Belgrade at a much cheaper cost than you would have in most European capitals, while you can then spend the time there and go back to the EU if that is your objective.
So cost of life is one thing to consider. If you're renting a place in the most expensive place in downtown Belgrade, the new construction in Belgrade waterfront, you're probably looking at something like 1,200 euros a month for a studio apartment. If you're going to different parts of town, you can look at way less than that. And the best thing to do is always to speak to a local and see if you can get a special deal on renting real estate. And when you do rent real estate, that significantly helps you in getting a residency permit, temporary or permanent. And what you're able to do with either of those is, as Francisco mentioned, use it for recharging your Schengen stay, and obviously stay in Serbia and do all the stuff that you want to, such as founding a business or just enjoying the lifestyle.
What would you recommend as some of the best neighborhoods for, someone that doesn't speak Serbian and want to be relatively, walkable, close to good restaurants, cafes, bars, etc.?
So I would recommend Dorčol for somebody who wants to be absolutely in the middle of everything. You'll be walking distance from every possible event. On the other end, Belgrade waterfront is where the most premium real estate is being developed right now, and it's very foreigner friendly. There's digital police stations. It's quite pleasant. And if you're looking for something a bit more adventurous and a bit more affordable, there's the neighborhood of Banovo Brdo, which is highly affordable, has practically everything one needs, but it's for somebody who's a bit more ready to stay there for the long haul and possibly even learn a little bit of Serbian.
So let's say someone does, goes to the shooting ranges that you have in Belgrade, goes to the splavs, go do all the fun things there to do. And please tell a bit more about that. How would you rank Serbia in terms of tax friendliness?
So in terms of tax friendliness, if you're an individual just doing your digital nomad life, there's a program you can do where you found a sole proprietorship company, and you'll essentially just be paying a flat tax of about 200 euros, maybe a bit more, and you're allowed to take in $60,000 a year onto a Serbian bank account. And in addition to that, practically every exchange office in Belgrade will have somebody who knows how to turn cryptocurrency into cash and vice versa. So there's plenty of ways to get around these things.
Good morning. Last video we're coming back home from the first day of the tour. Today is the second day of the tour where we'll be showing you more of the island. And we're still here in Ponta Delgada, going over to our bus place. So yesterday we were talking about some of the tax benefits, how the micro individual companies are advantageous, but you missed out on one little thing that I had asked about the splavs and the shooting ranges. Can you explain what a splav is to those who've never been there?
So the lifestyle of Belgrade is quite interesting. A splav, also known as a raft, is a structure on the riverfront that's a nightclub that's completely self-separated from the rest of the environment. And now in one part of town you'll have the lifestyle in Belgrade is quite interesting. Splavs, aka rafts, are floating nightclubs on the riverfront that are completely independent. And there's a section of town under the bridges where you can find these absolutely fantastic nightlife destinations. Belgrade has some of the most vibrant and interesting nightlife. In addition to that, there's plenty of fun and interesting things to do in Belgrade. The laws for owning weapons in Serbia are much more liberal than elsewhere in Europe. So that if you want to go and test yourself out on the shooting range, there's plenty of places to do that. And if you become a permanent resident in Serbia, you can also own firearms. And to temporary and permanent residency, there's ways of going about that. So if you want to become a temporary resident, there's several ways of going about it. You can become a student or otherwise be in an exchange program or a cultural enrichment program. There's obviously working for a company or work. There's founding, sole proprietorship, as we mentioned, and there's international agreements through which you could get that temporary residency. And then after one has had the temporary residency for 2 years, and it renews every year, you're able to apply for a permanent residency. And the thing about permanent and temporary is it's exactly the same basis that you get the residency on, but it's just a matter of how long it lasts for. And the permanent residency obviously lasts for a couple of years. It doesn't get renewed like the temporary one does. And after 2 years of temporary residency and 3 years of permanent residency, you're able to apply for citizenship in Serbia through naturalization. So there's a bit of, there's language tests, there's a couple of other things you need to do, but fundamentally it's a quick process compared to some other countries like 10-year processes, etc. And when one is a citizen of Serbia, you're a citizen in a non-CRS country, meaning that your information does not automatically get exchanged with places like the US, like Germany, like other high-tax jurisdictions.
Fantastic. So you mentioned the sole proprietorship yesterday. This, which is one of the most tax-friendly regimes for freelancers, for remote workers, also allows you to get a residence permit. So it's kind of like Georgia in this sense, or the UAE, where you can just open a company and self-sponsor. Very, very flexible in that regard. And then in terms of the guns, worth mentioning, Serbia is one of the countries with the highest per capita gun ownership ratios in the world. I don't recall the exact position, but I think it's
fourth.
something like 30 guns per 100 persons or something like that.
Fourth in the world after US, Switzerland, and Cyprus.
Okay, so for the gun lovers out there, for the guys that want to be able to protect their homes, also, not sure to the extent you know this, but like, what are the actual laws in terms of self-defense? Like if someone breaks into your home, can you shoot them? That kind of thing?
Yeah, so in terms of self-defense, it's way trickier. The thing is, if you're going to shoot somebody, you have to do it below the waistline. Only in that case is it considered self-defense. Everything else is manslaughter or something else.
So you have to shoot the legs?
Yes.
Wow.
And there's expressions in Serbian for "I will shoot your knees," and it's like a whole thing. But yeah, so there's that side of things. And then another side that might be interesting is Serbia is just an extremely green, lush country with lots of water sources. So that if you're looking for a piece of property to retreat to with your family, that type of thing, particularly eastern and western Serbia have a lot of mountainous and green hillside type properties where you can build out your property and where you can raise animals, have your own water source, and raise your family quite independently.
So basically, for the homesteaders, for those that want to have the self-sufficient lifestyle, Serbia is an ideal destination for that.
In every way, I love calling Serbia the Wild East of Europe. So
that's a good one. Right, we already got by our bus here, so we'll just start the tour and continue from the other places. So now we're getting to the north coast of the island, which is reminding me a bit of maybe Ireland. Let's show both sides here. It's actually gorgeous. And so I just finished talking about some of the freedoms to raise family and etc. How would you rate, now that we got to homesteaders and self-defense, how would you rate Serbia in terms of the other kinds of infrastructure that people look for, such as healthcare, education, even public transport? And just 1 second, just want to show this amazing view here. Que lindos são os Açores. And let's walk over to the other side. What do you have to say, Alex?
So as far as infrastructure goes, what you'll see is that a lot of our roads and medical facilities and electrical facilities, a lot of them have this really old 1970s socialist thing about them. Mm-hmm. And everywhere in town, like everywhere in Belgrade, you'll have a pretty easy time of electricity and all that. Everything works properly. But one thing that you'll definitely run into problems with is stuff with regard to medical. So all the good medical personnel have left the country. So unless you're going somewhere private, you're probably going to have a pretty bad time of it.
Okay, but we're not depending on public healthcare, I would assume. Is private good?
Private is good. We have actually some of the best like continental Europe, non-Turkish aesthetic and ophthalmology, etc. Surgery clinics. Though one thing that I would mention is if you've got your sole proprietorship, one thing that you're paying for every month is your health insurance. So you can actually use the National Health Service as a foreigner. So that's not a problem at all. But one thing that's come into increasing prominence over the last 2 or 3 years is something called e-uprava, which is the electronic government system. And instead of having to go to physical government offices and wait in line and all of this stuff, there's an English language digital interface where you can just do all of this stuff digitally. So for everything from registering companies to getting your tax returns to all sorts of stuff, they do it online, and it works quite well. So as far as schooling goes and education goes, there's quite a large undercurrent of private international schools in Serbia. It's sort of a thing, and to be frank, the national schooling system I wouldn't recommend to anybody. When it comes to these international private schools, there's quite a large diplomatic community in Belgrade. So as a result of that, there's lots of schools and infrastructure for kids who want to learn internationally and network with similar kids and their families. But an interesting thing one can do, especially when you're in rural life and this homesteading type thing, is you can go to a country school. So this would be a school that has like 10 pupils from 30 miles around.
Yep.
And what you can do is you can negotiate your way with the local teachers and the principals, and just ensure that your child is, because you have a legal responsibility to send your child to a school, you can just get a confirmation that the child got all of the schooling that it needs to, but they're actually free to travel and be at the homestead and do whatever you want them to do.
Very nice. I would assume Serbia is a country that, in general, is more negotiable than what one would expect in the EU.
It's very Balkan that way. Everything's for sale, everything's negotiable, and it's only a matter of whom you know and how you can make things happen. And that's a discussion best had privately. I'd love it if people reached out to me to do this type of thing, but lots of things are very negotiable.
And how would you rate it in the sense of, you mentioned so many Russians and Ukrainians and so on moved in. How international is it nowadays in terms of both language, right? Like, can people live well in Belgrade with just English, and also in terms of receptiveness to foreigners, as
Certainly.
some people might have the idea that Serbia is a racist country.
Certainly, when you're in downtown Belgrade, English will serve you just fine. Most places are staffed by young people who've had it drilled into their minds over the last 20 years that English is the thing to learn. So you'll have absolutely zero problem being in Belgrade with English. Of course, the further away you get from downtown, the less likely you are for people to know English. Although I've had an experience, I took a girl to a farmer's market on the outskirts of Belgrade, and people spoke English well enough at the farmer's market to speak with the girl. So I'm thinking that at this point it's very receptive to foreigners. I've taken people from all around the world, be they Asian or African or whatever. I've taken them around Belgrade, and we've never had a problem of any kind. I think Serbians are extremely receptive to international people, and particularly why in the 60s we had this thing called the non-aligned movement. So anybody who wasn't with the Soviet Union or wasn't with the US was with Yugoslavia. So we had this thing of Tanzanians and just these weird third world countries. Everybody came into Serbia for university studies, for all sorts of stuff. And even today, there's a subculture of African Yugoslavian people, and it's very much accepted for people to come in from wherever in the world and enjoy what we have to offer.
Very nice. And just to give a compliment here, English level in Belgrade indeed is pretty good, but as always, for basically every Eastern European country, the more you go to the countryside, the less this will be true. So if you decide to live in a village of 500 in the middle of Serbia, we can't say it's gonna be like you're gonna have it in Belgrade, right? So as always, if you are in the capital, Even in
Novi Sad and the smaller
even
cities.
in Novi
niche.
Sad, yeah, that's worth a mention as well. Even in Novi Sad, which is a more bohemian, artistic city, you can get around with English just fine, especially if you're in the more central touristic areas. And just look at that view, man. Right, so we got here to our next stop. It's Goiânia. We just had some authentic green tea. You can see that there's the plantation here on the back. Guys are picking up tea down over there, if you can see them. And Aleksa, so you were mentioning that Serbia is a non-CRS country. So let's get into the business and banking aspect. What does Serbia have to offer? How is the tax system looking like? Is it a bureaucratic country to do business or bank in? Tell us a bit more.
Sure thing. So let's start with the CRS bit. Serbia technically acceded to the CRS agreement internationally, so it is technically a CRS country, but it's not, it is formally a CRS country, but it's not technically a CRS country. What does that mean? The information exchange systems have not been implemented, and there's practically no plans to do so. And what that means is the banking that goes through Serbia and the companies that get established in Serbia, they don't get automatically exchanged with Germany or the US or other high-tax jurisdictions. As far as companies go, I think we've already mentioned a bit about the sole proprietorship and how it pays a flat rate, a flat fee. So it's not a flat rate like 10%, it's just a flat fee of like 200 euros a month. On the other end, you've got the Serbian limited company, the DOO, and that's usually the model that everybody uses. There's very few, taking companies public or anything like that. The DOO is taxed at 15%, and then for other expenses like paying out dividends or investing in real estate, there's lower tax rates for that. As far as opening a DOO goes, depending on the number of shareholders you have and what the type of licenses that you want to hold, you're looking at anything between 1 week for a simple consulting or marketing business to up to a month or 2 months if you're doing something more complicated like manufacturing or transportation. And when it comes to the bureaucracy in Serbia, it's significantly less than most other countries in Europe. But the thing is, if you're doing anything that has to do with European-based businesses, so let's say you're importing stuff out of Europe, then a good thing to know is all of the trade agreements that Serbia has with the EU, particularly with regard to stuff like cars and machinery. So what will often happen is cars from the EU that are no longer regulatorily acceptable in the EU, they get imported into Serbia, and from there onwards to Bosnia, to Montenegro, to these other neighboring countries. And as far as the accounting and complications that arise from that, usually what people do is there's every street corner, and I'm not making this up, every street corner has an accounting company, and it takes about an hour a month to get all of your taxes and accounting and all of that set up, and a lot of these places speak English, so it's very common for foreign-owned companies to do perfectly good business in the country.
And so in terms of the banking, I think that's another important part to mention. So is it hard to get foreign currency denominated accounts, like in dollars and euro? Do you have to use the Serbian dinar? And do these accounts, are they accessible to non-residents as well, or only after you've obtained your residency?
So as far as corporate accounts go, as a limited company, you must denominate all of your income in Serbian dinars. As far as getting the foreign currency account, that's quite simple to get. Any place that you can get a Serbian dinar account, you can also get a foreign currency account. Usually dollars, Swiss francs, and euros are what gets opened. And then on the individual side, for individual persons, you've got one thing that you need to be aware of. When you just come in as a tourist, you could technically open up a non-resident account with nothing but your passport, but for 1 year, the only thing that you can do with that account is pay cash into your account and take cash out, and no transfers are possible. And that stays that way for 1 year, and then you can use online banking, you can use international payments and all this other stuff. So if you're not in a time crunch, that's an interesting way to open an account in a non-CRS country for rather cheap.
All right, so we got to our third stop of the day. We're in Caldeiras, where we have some geysers. You can see them over there. Over there. It smells like rotten eggs here. There's some other ones there you can see. The other one is actually a bit more yellow with the sulfur concentration. But so, Aleksa, we were talking about the banking side. How is Serbia in relation to crypto? Is it easy to on and off ramp crypto over there?
So I'd say so. When it comes to the banks are absolutely agnostic about crypto. They don't really know much about it. If a bank transfer comes in from something like Coinbase, they will accept it as long as you provide evidence for why it came in. As for converting between crypto and fiat, there's two ways of going about it. One is the fully legal way, and the other is gray. So the fully legal way is with a licensed company called ECD, and usually with them you're looking at something between 10 and 13% on converting your crypto, and they have official over-the-counter desks, they have official ATMs, they have all this official stuff. On the other end though, if you go to any exchange office in Belgrade or any of the larger cities, the owner of the exchange office will probably know how to exchange crypto into cash, so most likely euros, or vice versa. And when it comes to the percentages that you have with these guys, it'll probably be something between 3 and 6%. So definitely lower if you're doing something like that. As for the way that people can use crypto conversion and cash on their accounts, a lot of ATMs, especially with Banca Intesa, will allow you to just put cash euros into the bank account and put them onto your account, and the bank never asks any questions as long as the amount is under 2,500 euros, and as long as you do that once per day, regulations-wise, you're in the clear.
So you can just do it smaller amounts every day until you've cleared everything. Very good. And the other pro, it's a topic that other content creators often mention, is the Serbian citizenship. In terms of timeline, as we discussed, it's actually one of the fastest in Europe, right? The regular fastest path would normally be Portugal, 5 years residence, but now they've upped that requirement to 10 years. So for most people, Serbia is going to be one of the fastest citizenships by naturalization available. How does that process actually look like in terms of timeline once you get started? And what are some of the main benefits of the Serbian passport?
Certainly. So Serbia's passport is, last I checked, about 32nd place or 34th place in the Henley Index. It has some very interesting access capabilities where you can go to Russia and you can go to China visa-free, and obviously you get your 90 days in the Schengen area visa-free as well. As for the procedure to get the passport, or rather get the citizenship, it starts as you're getting your temporary residence permit, about which we spoke, and once that becomes your permanent residency, once you've had your permanent residency for 3 years, meaning that you just stay in Serbia, and there's a certain requirement for how much time you must spend in Serbia. You can never leave Serbia for more than 6 months at a single time, and you must spend you must spend a total of, I think it was 100 days a year in Serbia for all 3 years of your permanent residency.
Okay.
You need to provide some evidence of your integration into the local culture and economy, so that you have some attachment to the country. And obviously, knowledge of the language is a plus as well. Though it's not explicitly listed in the language that there are tests or anything like that. So that's as far as the citizenship process goes. After you've done that for 3 years, you put down a citizenship application, and it's usually processed within 2 to 3 months of putting down the application, assuming that all of your prerequisites are clear.
Fantastic. So now we're gonna get some sweet corn cooked in the geysers. Probably very sulfur rich. Let's see how that tastes. And I would like to end this video before we get the corn, just getting some, hidden gem recommendations for people that are going to Serbia for the first time, or maybe that already went there but missed on some spots, both in terms of maybe nature or small places outside of Belgrade, and the hidden gems inside Belgrade that people might miss out.
Certainly. So one thing inside Belgrade that I always like to recommend is there's a gentleman called Zoran Nikolic, who does the tour of underground Belgrade, so that you can see these places that are completely sealed off to the public. Nobody is allowed to go there, and this guy has a special arrangement with the city government to go in.
2 minutos, amigo, por favor.
No, let's get that. I'll remember where I am.
Do you have the
Money?
money? Yeah.
Do I have money
I'll
to
just keep
purchase?
recording.
You also have the option of stock on the side in case you want to add some.
Salzinho, amigo, por favor. Salzinho, por favor, explora.
Sim, senhor.
Quanto é que é o milho?
O arame é cada uma, as duas fica 3.
Ok, 3 euros.
Todas lá vinham açúcar, só que
Que bonito.
Vem também? Beleza.
Okay, we eat the corn while looking at the geysers.
So other
One interesting thing. There's some. Don't know if you can see it, but there's some smoke coming off the sewers. Probably it's connected to the geysers here as well. So I thought it would taste worse. It's actually a pretty good corn.
It's fantastic corn.
It doesn't taste like rotten eggs. It's pretty good.
Nothing about it indicates that it was in a sulfur caldera. So
Exactly. You wouldn't imagine it. So anyway, you're mentioning the underground tour?
the underground tour in Belgrade. So you would see these German World War II bunkers that nobody had access to until 3 or 4 years ago. So definitely message me about that. I know this guy personally, and it's a great tour. Outside of that, there's some really interesting experiences that you can have in Belgrade. Really depends what you're into. Let's say if you're very into the physical, moving around, getting stuff done side, there's a place called Alpha Shooting Range where I know somebody who does these tactical drills. So how to enter a building with an armed team, that type of thing. On the other end, if you're more on the spiritual, hippy-dippy side, there's a couple of very interesting places in downtown Belgrade where you can get your so everything you do in this restaurant, all your drinks, all your and I think it's called a cacao bar. All the drinks, everything is tarot card themed, and you get your own complimentary tarot card reading, and it's quite a lot of fun. But in general, I'd say that the nature in Serbia is the most underrated thing that very few people fully use. And for most of the best spots, you're definitely going to need a car. You're definitely going to need to drive around. So I'd say that spot one is, actually this is inside of Belgrade. The Kumodraž forest has a couple of very interesting waterfalls inside of town. And then if you're going outside of town, there's some very interesting caves, waterfalls to be seen, particularly in eastern Serbia, so around Kladovo and around Zlot. Those are some absolutely scenic, beautiful areas. We'll put up a photo here. The canyon of Lazar is just wonderful for anybody who's into canyoning. It's pretty much from May to September is a good time to visit it. And I'd say final thing is the Tara National Park in the west of the country. It just has these gorgeous ice-cold rivers that are clear as glass. And for anybody who wants to reconnect with nature, it's a must-have.
Isn't that the one we went to in Montenegro as well? Is it the same valley?
So it's the same river, but we have a mountain called the Tara, and the river that passes through it is the one that we went to in Montenegro.
Okay, so I can absolutely recommend that. Gorgeous, gorgeous river, ice cold water if you're into ice baths or so. 1 minute in that river and you have your ice bath for the week. So I think that was it for today's video. If you're interested in Serbia residency, banking, company, citizenship, or getting to see the country, Aleksa is based in Belgrade, so he can help you and connect you with anyone you need. You can reach out here on the comments below. And on the description of this video, we'll have the link so you can schedule a call with Aleksa or get in touch with him via email. So if you're interested, just check the link below and comment what other questions you might have about Serbia or other countries in the Balkans so we can make more videos like this. Don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and see you on the next one. E por hoje é isso então. Se você ficou interessado na Sérvia, gostaria de passar um tempo lá como nômade, ou gostaria de apoio com residência, empresas, contas bancárias, cidadania, enfim, entre em contato conosco. A gente vai te apresentar diretamente para o Aleksa, que poderá tanto te ajudar diretamente ou te conectar com quem possa te ajudar. Ele é nativo de Belgrado e mora em Belgrado. Então aqui na descrição você vai encontrar o link para você agendar uma chamada com o Aleksa ou entrar em contato por e-mail. Se você gostou desse vídeo, deixe nos comentários outras dúvidas, outros temas que você gostaria que nós abordássemos. Deixe seu like, inscreva-se também para apoiar o canal. E, antes de fechar, let's drink from the...
Nascente da água azeda do Rebental.
So this is probably sulfuric water as well. The corn was pretty good. Let's see if the water holds up too. Okay. Ooh, it's sour.
Oh,
It's very sour.
oh, it's carbonated. I love this.
Yes, it's like sparkling water straight from the tap. That's it, guys. See you on the next one.